When's the last time you asked for directions?
Like, to... Oh, huh. Huh. When the last time I asked for directions... I don't know.
When's the last time you asked for advice on how to do something?
Advice on how to do something? I mean, I don't typically... Oh, this sounds so bad. I don't typically...
When's the last time... Have you ever done research in a library?
Research in a library? Sophomore year of college? I used to go to the library to use my computer. Like, I don't know if that counts. Does that count?
That's what I'm getting at. We don't do any of those things.
Yeah.
Back maybe 20 years ago we have.
Uh-huh.
But because we have this stuff at our fingertips, we technically don't need that anymore.
Yeah, tech.
It's so weird. Technically?
We technically don't need that anymore.
Yeah. It's so weird to me because like our parents did that, but I can't imagine not having these things at our fingertips. Uh-huh. Technology. I can't. If I go out and I'm lost, I have to have my phone on me. If I don't have my phone, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm gonna get social anxiety, man. I don't want to be like, hey, can I get directions? And who is this guy? How does he have no directions? This could be some random guy. He probably uses his phone too. Like, you know.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned this because literally, what was it? I want to say a day or two ago, I was coming out of I think Whole Foods, and this one guy. I just hear him across the parking lot. He's like, "Hey, excuse me." And he runs up to this other guy, and he's just like, "Hey, I can hear it. Parking lot's pretty quiet. Guy's pretty loud." So there's this bald guy's asking this other guy. He's like, "Hey, can you tell me the quickest way to get to 287?"
What?
If you're not in New Jersey, it's just the
highway. That guy doesn't have a smartphone.
So it's a highway. So I was standing there. I'm like, quickest way to get to 287? Pull out your damn phone.
Yeah, pull out your phone. Pull out your phone, man.
I literally.
What do you live in 2003?
I said it too. I was like,
"Oh, you
pull
actually
out
said
your
it
damn
too?"
phone." Like I'm getting into my car. It's just looking like, pull out the damn phone. Like I didn't yell it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want him to hear me. But I'm scared.
Maybe he doesn't have a phone.
I guess, or a phone. He probably has a smartphone, but like no data, so that he can't use GPS
data.
Like screw up his plan.
Yeah, that's so weird. Was he probably middle aged or something? Right?
He seemed like he was probably in his 40s or 50s or something. Exactly. Like, he seemed like older. But
imagine when we're like 40s. I don't know. I don't think any of our people our age do that.
Ask for directions.
We don't have to.
No, we don't have to. Because you just pull out your phone.
Yeah.
You whip out your phone that your parents pay for.
What's the thing when like an EMT? Imagine an EMT just drops on our city. We'd be so screwed. Just all electricity goes out.
Oh, isn't it EMP?
EMP, there you go.
Electromagnetic EMT.
I am saying EMT, like emergency medical transport.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I meant EMP. Freaking drops on our city.
Electromagnetic pulse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Just we're screwed.
I don't think we're screwed.
Especially the direction we're going as far as technology's going.
We're not screwed locally.
Oh, yeah, locally. But even then, it's like outside 5 miles around my house, I think I kind of need direction.
Outside 5 miles, bro. That's
no. That might be exaggeration. I'm trying to think.
Like 26 miles is a marathon. All right.
Okay.
I don't know how that relates.
26 miles out.
Okay. I want to say. So Rutgers is like maybe 10 miles away?
Yeah.
10 to
15? So I'm good around 10 miles. Well, not...
Can you go to... What about Newark? Can you go to NJT? Because you used to go to...
Straight. Oh, well, as long as you get on the highway. So that's like
20 miles that way.
But if you were asking me to go local roads, I'd be so lost,
local roads?
Bro.
Nah, I'd be messed up.
Yeah.
I'm fighting that traffic. I'm fiending for some beep, beep. Like, that's it.
I'm pretty sure, like, in New York, the taxi drivers, they used to... I know back in the day, they used to... Just straight off memory.
Yeah, it'd be like, I need to get to the corner of 81st and
they know.
And 6th.
That's even more complicated than like what we know, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's a whole city and just a million streets.
It's funny that you mentioned that because it's like New York's actually really easy to know.
Oh, well, you know.
Because, well, I don't know.
If you travel enough, maybe you'll...
Nah, you don't... Well... Yeah. I don't know. New York's a good... Let's say LA.
Okay.
I don't know, because I never hear this about LA. I hear it about New York all the time. I see it at New York. Just like, oh, the New York streets, like north, like going from east to west, like horizontal, everything is like what is it? Like no. Oh no, I'm messing up.
But the only reason why I mention that is because I feel like nowadays, like I'm sure taxi drivers probably use GPS or whatever to get wherever they want to go.
Uber drivers use the crap out of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah,
but like
taxi
back then,
drivers.
people use it's just maps and memory.
But what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean, like back then? Because like even like us growing up, I remember like when I was like I remember I have memories dating back to when I was about like 4.
Mm-hmm.
From like 4 to like I want to say maybe even 10 or more. I never remember my dad using like GPS because it wasn't like a common thing. Cause it was
GPS like probably what came like 2006 or something.
I think earlier or something. Maybe like 2004, 2000.
Yo, that's yeah. My uncle and Anna were talking about this. It was like, you know how much they were like $600 for like a GPS. It was
insane.
And now it's just on our phones.
Now it's just like here's a free app. It's called Waze.
Yeah, it's free. Yo, you imagine paying $600 for a GPS.
Nah, that's some bull. But you gotta think about it because it's just kind of like, it's kind of like relative to like 2000 and let's say 3 or 4. I don't know when GPS comes. Yeah. Fact checker. Oh, shit. Anyway, relative to, we can't make fun of that anymore. We're actually so quick tidbit. I don't know. We don't know what episode this is gonna be. So whether this is first or number 2 or what. Maybe you've already seen our fact checker, social media manager, Danny. So she'll appear in videos and she'll help us out with facts and stuff. If you've already seen that, whatever, screw what I'm saying right now. If this becomes the first episode or she's not in our first episode for whatever reason, because we're filming out of order, that's kind of like her role. She's going to be over here. She's going to have her own camera and everything. So you get to definitely see Danny participating and, anytime we butt heads, she's a really good mediator. So it'll be good stuff. But unfortunately, she couldn't make it today. But let's keep rolling. Yeah. Tangent over.
Okay.
But I mean, I think relative to, let's say 2002, 2003, whenever GPS is like started coming out, like more like, I guess, commonplace, like more widespread, when people could like own it in their vehicle. Yeah. I don't know, like paying $400, $500, $600 for a GPS. To me, it's kind of like the equivalent a little bit to a degree of, a smartphone now. It's like, oh, you're paying $1,100 for that new iPhone? And it's just kind of like, yeah, but it's an iPhone. Can like all the possibilities, like back then it's like, it's the GPS. I can go anywhere. It was just like the idea of that, like, I don't need maps. I don't need to print out directions from MapQuest or Google or whatever. Like, I can literally get in my car, plug this thing into a little charging port, and type in my address, and I'm
Do you think
going.
Like the logical like progression is like cell phones eventually being free too? Like you just end up having like those chips or something where you can just call people from your head. It's like manually inserted or something.
I think so. I feel like
it comes to that point.
You know why I think that?
Why we just become like cyborg humans and we can just like
maybe not, because like I don't know. I feel like that is true to an extent, because like let's take schools, like a lot of schools, regular, normal, depending on the class or whatever, like normal class schools or whatever, they're getting a lot, the laptops. A lot of schools now are getting laptops.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like these little Chromebooks and stuff like that, to the point where it's just like, oh, it's almost the equivalent of like a college student going to rent a textbook, but instead of paying anything, it's free. It's just like, oh, if you break it, you lose it, whatever, you damage it, you have to pay for, a certain fee. And here's the agreement. Just sign and agree that like, oh, you screw this up, you got to pay for it. Cough, cough, your parents pay for it. But like, here you go. Here's a freaking Chromebook. You 10-year-olds.
You get to keep that, right?
Yeah, you keep it for like the school year. Like that thing is yours.
What the
like I'm looking at this stuff. I'm hearing about this stuff.
Yeah, I heard like some schools give like iPads.
Yeah, they give. Oh, there you go. iPads now. They're giving like not even like iPad 1, like the very first one. No, they're giving like pretty like
kids to keep.
Yeah, like
for the school year.
Like here you go.
What?
Like
why?
Look, if I had
what purpose?
Look, if I had
homework,
to do homework. All their textbooks are there now. So now because it's like all that, like oh my back, your back problems with all the textbooks that kids use. Now it's like kids, before it's like oh you forgot your textbook at home because you had homework.
I don't like that.
That homework had.
I don't like that.
But like
I don't like that. Let me tell you why. Kids are already losing attention as is. Mm-hmm. On top of that, like I even look at it in myself, bro. the more I use my iPod and my cell phone, the less I feel like I'm attentive to like small details and stuff like that.
You got an iPod?
When I was 15, I got my first iPod.
I was about to say iPod Touch or iPod. I know this is important.
Touch.
I'm sorry.
No, it's definitely important. It's when I was 15, I got my first iPod.
Okay.
Before then, I didn't really have I had a PlayStation 2, but I never really had any technology. So I feel like my childhood was pretty pure or unadulterated because I didn't have any technology to really play with. I had to rely on my own imagination, play with my sister, play with other friends, like go outside, all that stuff.
I remember going outside. Yeah,
I felt like I was smarter before I got my iPod. I had I started playing PlayStation when I was like 12-ish. I got my first phone when I was like 10 or 12. But I didn't there was none of those features that it had back then. You just like all color text. That's it.
Do you own those little Nokia? I know there are memes all the time. Like about like the Nokia.
It was something like that.
Yeah. So I would always. My brother had one.
Did you freaking like chuck it at the wall just because they don't break, right?
Nah. Well, I mean, they would like use and it'd be like he and my sister. I think my sister always had like the latest and greatest. Mm-hmm. She always had like the Sidekick. The stupid little PSP looking phone. The Sidekick. The one you would flip the screen and we'd be like. And then
those are popular.
Yeah, and then you just have the whole
that
keyboard.
And the Motorola Razr was like really popular too.
So my brother had the Nokia.
Yeah.
And so whenever I would see him use it or not use it, I'd be like, "Oh, can I use your phone?" Like, because there were video games on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like as far as phones and all that stuff, and like how you used to like, oh, sorry, I feel like I was smarter back then. It's just like, I mean, in hindsight, pretty sure, like. I know this is ultimately the big discussion that we're talking, like the big thing we're talking about today, reliance on technology and stuff. But it's just like, I think relative to the time, like you and I now, relative to what we have available at our fingertips versus like back then, I am one of those people who's just kind of like, I'm kind of torn. I don't really have a definite agree or disagree. Like I was smarter back then or I'm smarter now thing. But I can see a lot of points for both, especially when it comes to like, I wouldn't say I was smarter at any given time. I would feel like we'd be smarter now.
See, that's the thing. Some people may say that because we have this technology at our fingertips, we should be smarter again because we can look this up anytime, right?
Yeah.
We can use that to our advantage. But the fact is you're using it for... like, say, looking up YouTube videos of cats or something like that. Everybody says cats.
Fire noodle cats. Korean 2 times nuclear challenge.
Exactly. We just look up random stuff, and that's your problem. That's not technology's fault. That's the way you use it. I guess you can tie that into like the whole gun debate thing, but we're not going to get into that. But what I'm saying is, this is what people say.
Yeah.
And to that point, I say, come on, man. I want to look up noodles, man. This stuff is so addicting, bro. You can't control it. And now you're giving this to iPads to kids. How do you think they can handle? If I can't handle, how's the kid going to handle it?
I can give you a very specific example. If Danny was here, she'd say, like, Danny's younger brother, he has an iPad. He's always on it. And it's just kind of like to a point, you're kind of like, well, if I take the iPad away, what's the kid going to do? Oh, okay, either play with his toys. He's a young kid. Play with his toys. Go outside and play with himself, like
for
just
how long?
Play by
Though?
himself.
They don't last that long.
Yeah,
they need it back.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like
they need that.
but it's like this addictive. It's like to me, it's like a drug. Technology is a drug to a degree, or at least the effects of the addictive tendencies of technology.
That's how they engineer it too.
Yeah, and I know this is all like pretty commonplace. People know this. And it's just like, oh, can you go like a whole day without checking your Instagram? I'm gonna be honest, no. Like I can't. I personally can't. I'm like, nah, checking that Instagram. Oh, Facebook time. It's literally got a routine. It's like
it's not even your fault though. It's the way they engineer it that makes you want to keep doing it. It's the whole notifications, dopamine,
updates,
boom, 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 colors, the dings, the seeing other people like it. It just feeds that reward system in you.
Yeah, hearken to those tap backs and things like that and stuff where it's just kind of like, oh, like someone has reached out to me. Someone has like spoken to me. There is something going on, and I'm getting notified about this thing, whether it's a big thing or a small thing. And it's just kind of like, oh, that's awesome. And it's like, well, is it really? Like, is it really like that awesome?
Right? Is it that awesome? Not really.
I don't know about that.
Like, like 10 friends liked your picture.
It's just like, oh,
these people care about me. No, to be honest, I just tapped it and I moved on. Like, I didn't like pay attention. Most of the time, if it's longer than 5 lines captions, I'm not gonna read that. I'm just like, oh, cool, it's nice. I see them again. Like, and I move on. I don't know. Pay that much attention. I'm sorry. It's like
you're blowing up your spot, man. People are gonna start
following
you.
This is the real me. I'm sorry. At least this is man.
Just send that reply back, LMAO. Just like
just straight face,
straight face ever.
And that's the problem with technology. It's like the idea of technology is that it's supposed to streamline these things. I looked up the definition of technology on Google.
All right.
So I think it's Britannica. Technology is the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of human life. All right. So we say communication. We got messaging. All right. And it streamlines it. It does a great job of that. But we lose that expressiveness, the authenticity of it by having messaging. So it does a good job in its basic form, but it doesn't replace the real thing, I think.
Face-to-face conversation.
Yeah. I think it gets better. I mean, we have FaceTime. We're getting there. But at the same time, I don't think it's ever going to replace the actual thing. And I think that's the problem with technology, is making it too easy. And that's what I'm afraid of, that we're relying on technology to the point where we're going to end up like the movie WALL-E, The kids are already on their phones, man. You see how people in WALL-E are? They're freaking on their phones and or freaking screens. All around them, they have all this stuff. The dude falls out of his chair in the middle of the movie and the screen goes black and he looks around. He's like, what? Where am I? Because he's been in the chair looking at the screen the whole time. He doesn't realize he's in a spaceship in space. Like, it's like, it's scary. I mean, I'm usually the optimist here. And part of me is like, oh, it's great. I mean, I would love to live in a future where technology is like to the point where it's like so seamless.
It's a chip in my hands that I could just be like, do that Iron Man crap where it's just like the screens and everything's just kind of like, oh, brain.
It's perfect. But another part of me is like, if I have kids, I'm going to lament the fact that they haven't had the same experience as me.
But okay, well, I guess a couple things. Like, why... that's a different topic, but like, really quickly, why does your kid need to have the same experiences as you? Because we sure as hell didn't have the same experiences as our parents.
Human.
Okay.
That the basic element, us as humans need communication. We crave communication because we care. We crave attention of others.
Okay.
And technology is not going to fill that.
Okay, but
I don't think so.
Isn't it your job as a parent to like monitor, like, and track, and like you're ultimately the one who's aiding and abetting like your children when it comes to providing them with
that's
technology.
Another problem. How do we find a middle ground with the future being more technology based and having real experiences? You go to school and you get an iPad. How do I like? I wouldn't give my kid an iPad, but now that they have an iPad, how do I know they're going to actually communicate with other people? They have to use their iPad. They might get addicted. They might not talk to any of their friends. I mean, this is the worst case scenario. But I'm saying it's like, I prefer if my kid doesn't have an iPad or doesn't need any of these technologies for school.
So you'd rather have your
But then again, if they don't have it, they're going to be the outsider in the class. Everybody else has technologies. My kid doesn't have technology. He's going to feel like a loser. All these other kids are going to be up to date. Oh, new Modern Warfare 20's out. What are you? And it's like, my kid's like, what are you guys talking about? He's like, oh, look at this loser. And he's going to feel so out of place. Maybe he's smarter, but he's just gonna be an outsider. So it's like, where's the middle ground here?
I don't
know.
I think I think you're assuming that your kid's gonna be a loser if he doesn't have technology. That's a pretty large assumption.
Well, if it's the direction is going, it's a little concerning to me.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of torn. I can see it from I see it from your point of view, and at the same time too, it's just kind of like, well, like. I don't know. There are just so many more benefits, I guess, when it comes to like tech and just like the implementation of it on a day-to-day basis. I mean, like now you can like as you're getting ready, for work, and you're kind of like, I forgot to check the weather. It can be something as simple as just like, okay, blank, and like, what's the weather for tomorrow or whatever, or like, what's the weather right now? What's my commute to work like? Like I think now, the I don't want to activate people's stuff. The G home, like now you can like set routines, or I think it's been a feature for a little bit now. You could set routines where it's like, if you say good morning G word, then it's just like it'll tell you the news. It'll basically like do anything it'll say anything you want, you program it to say. So like, you go to the app and you do it, and that's freaking awesome.
I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah. But my what I'm trying to say is like for the amount of conveniences that arise out of technology, I think like to a degree it's okay to start making these compromises and like understanding where and when it's where and when it's necessary to put your foot down, whether it's like, a parent, a guardian, a teacher, whatever it is, as far as like offering it to the quote unquote next generation. So it's just kind of like as far as that's concerned, it's just like you're not going to strip people away from the conveniences for as long as they have the opportunity to have that opportunity and availability to do those things. And number two, it's like actually access it and use it. And number two, it's like in stripping away those conveniences, are you really making life, I guess, to the extent of the day-to-day of, let's say, in the United States, right? Are you really making life ultimately? Are you really giving them a higher quality of life to the extent of like when it comes to education and knowledge and things like that? It's just kind of like the world we live in, with it being so fast-paced and with it being so just I don't know, gun-ho. It's just kind of, to me, it's just kind of like. It's the ultimate conundrum of like up to what point is it okay and is it not okay? Where is that line? I'll
tell you something. I don't know how many people know this. Steve Jobs never gave his kids an iPad.
Oh yeah.
This dude gave an interview back in like 2012, 2013. He was asking Steve Jobs about like his new the new iPad that came out. And he asked him, "Hey, what do your kids think about the new iPad?" He's like, "Oh, I don't let my kids use that."
Oh, well.
He said, "We limit how much technology our kids use at home." How do you as a creator rap and let your kids use an iPad?
But
also, not even that. I also looked up, Bill Gates doesn't let his kids use technology either. He puts a limit. And apparently, a lot of parents in Silicon Valley don't let their kids use technology up till a certain age. And I think it's because that's the whole addictive feature of it, the whole addictive quality of how technology is right now. I think once you get to a certain age, you can discern when it's too much and limit yourself. But at a young age, you can't control it. That's what I mean, if they're doing it, we gotta kind of figure out why and what it is that.
But I think to an extent, what you need to kind of remember is that the keywords there is limit the amount of. Because they're parents. You're talking about situations where it's like parents limiting the amount of blank tech for their kids. Obviously, clearly, we're not parents. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and talk about this is how you need to raise your child. But I think it's a really important thing to also understand, like, whether it's kids or whether it's like even just yourself, it's up it's whoever's responsible ultimately. It's their responsibility to draw the line somewhere. Where it's just kind of like, it's not all for naught. Like, it's not like you're lost in the sea of using technology. You can never, ever stop. You yourself can put a cap on it. You yourself. It's difficult.
It's difficult.
Just like many other things. Like,
I'll tell you right now, man. I have limits on my phone right now. You know the app limits?
Oh, yeah.
I have app limits on my phone. I put it for like, I think, an hour now for Instagram. I put it for an hour for Instagram. I put it for like 4 hours for YouTube. And the only reason I feel like I do it just because, I it's so addictive and I don't know when to stop. Or like I do it to a point where I do it and I don't realize how much time's passed. That's how long it's been. And I think it's good that we have the app limits, but the fact I need an app limit at all is kind of bizarre, don't you think?
I don't know.
Do you use app limits?
No.
Yeah. I feel like you have more self-control than I do anyways.
I don't know. like you might think like, whoa, your social media habits are disgusting. But I mean, unless we actually sat down and like compared, we wouldn't really know. I don't know. I think it's funny.
Why do app limits exist?
It's because of the fact that you have, somebody who created something. So you have tech companies that create tech that's useful, that's convenient, that's meant to be used like in order to enhance your everyday life or to some extent be a convenience to you in your everyday life.
Sure.
Okay. Then you have a group of people or a number of people that come and say, your technology and your inventions and your software and your blah, 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 and apps have ruined, my child's habits, have ruined my habits. They become a detriment to our lifestyles and blah, blah, blah. Like you being the person or the company that made these things, the way they are so addictive and to the point where people feel like it's absolutely a necessity as opposed to like a commodity. Like, you need to do something, have some sort of safeguard against this. You need to develop something in order for people to be able to curb those habits, those bad habits. So you make something, now you need to also make something to help people stop using that thing you made.
But then it harkens back to that thing, when we were talking about fast food and McDonald's, it's like, oh, should we make the food more healthier since so many people are getting fat off this food? And it's like, it's not their job, it's the consumer's responsibility, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's the consumer has a responsibility, and they owe to themselves and to whoever else they care for, to kind of monitor where they decide to consume from. So it's just like, if you decide to consume certain types of food more frequently than others, no matter the situation. We're not going to talk about money here in classes and No, we're not getting into specifics. We could spend like hours, days talking about this, and we'll never get to a conclusive answer. All that aside, like, you do have a choice to an extent of, deciding of like, am I going to, like, let's say, eat the side salad plain, or am I going to eat it with the dressing? And it's just like, if you eat it plain, it's fine. You eat it with the dressing and the cheese and the croutons, you're going to have a problem there. Like, it's worse than that cheeseburger. Also, that's also on the menu. That's cheaper. And it's just kind of like, well, you as a consumer, now, especially nowadays, that knowledge is out there. That like, oh, nutrition facts are out there. Specific to the example of, analogous to technology, or fast food example, that information's there for the consumer. Immediate nutritional information's out there. So it's kind of like, okay, now the consumer gets to decide. Now, if the consumer constantly eats salad with dressing and cheese and croutons, and then they start complaining and making a big stink about, oh, these salads from McDonald's are really bad for you. They don't make you slim. Salads are supposed to like be healthy and make you slim, and they don't. They've actually made me gain weight. And it's just like, McDonald's needs to fix this. And it's just like, you have a choice, though. You had a choice every single time you went to go consume their product of, one, choosing an item a totally different item, and two, choosing that item you chose minus the things that make it bad. you have that at least base level information, which ultimately gives you that base level knowledge of like what's good and what's bad. Now it's your choice. So to that extent, analogous to our technology here, it's just like you have that choice of sitting there and hopping from Snapchat to Facebook to Instagram to YouTube to Snapchat to Facebook to Instagram to YouTube. You have a choice of saying like, I'm going to do 1 round of this, or I'm going to do 10 rounds of this in one sitting.
The way it's set up, you don't even know.
Because it just goes and goes because it's constant, because it's just a streamline feed of like addictiveness, right? And it's like getting sugar straight to your blood.
Did you get if you look at the ydb.pod from like when it had like only like 10, 20, 50 followers, it ends. The feed ends because we don't even have, that's it. The content's over because we don't have any followers. But the more followers you have, the more stuff gets featured. And you're in there longer and longer. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just, don't follow as many people. But no, I had one friend I used to talk to. He said he had a personal, which he follows really close friends and family. And he has another one where he follows all the meme accounts, the celebrities and all that.
That's a good idea.
And that's a good idea because you can just, whenever you want to like actually just look at friends, you can just do that real quick. Don't have that many followers, boom, you're done.
But now you want to actually
indulge yourself, go on the meme account, keep going when you're bored.
But now you got 2 accounts to indulge in. So now at that point,
one's just friends and family.
But think about it like this, like, you can also then at that point, I know it's kind of extreme, but then you could say like, I could have 2 phones. Like I could have a basic dumb phone to, do simple basic call and text like to people I need to. And then I could have like, I don't even need a smartphone. I can have a dumb phone to do regular stuff like that. And then I can have like an iPad, like an older iPad or something, like a tablet or something with Wi-Fi only, super cheap that I can, cheap, quote unquote, inexpensive.
But you know what? That's what I was considering.
You could do that.
I've considered that. To be honest, I have considered that. Just replacing my phone with like, just a basic phone. I already have my Mac. I'm all set. But then it's like
you're gonna start using that Mac.
Start using the Mac more.
You're gonna all the time. Now you're gonna have this instead of this phone. Now you're gonna have a 13-inch MacBook on you all the time. Yeah. You're gonna have that wire plugged into the wall all the time.
It's just an extension of myself. It's just like I carrying the wire, freaking.
I don't know. I'm not trying to say like there's no.
I don't think I'm addicted, but I am like. I mean, it's like technology's anonymous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. The first step is admitting you are addicted, right? Yeah. Maybe I am addicted. I don't know.
But
But you said you can't go one day without it.
Yeah.
I guess I could say the same for myself. I mean, if I was busy, if I had something to do.
Yeah, if I was occupied. Okay, so all right, I think.
But it's weird though.
I think what we need to do. I think what we kind of need to do is like take a step back and realize a couple things. So what we said so far, and what we said so far basically is just like, well, in the situation of like, parents and like kids and seeing kids getting so much more access to tech, there's got to be a line, and that line is going to be monitored by the parent, the guardian, whoever the caretaker is, or the teacher. Right? If every lesson is going to be given on the iPad, it's probably not a good idea, because then the day that you were like, we're not going to use the iPads, every kid in that class is going to freak out. It's probably, if every time a child starts throwing a tantrum, you give the kid an iPad, it's probably not a good idea. And I think everybody can agree, or at least the majority of people can agree with those 2 points. And so
it's coming to that point, though.
I mean, it's there where it's just kind of like, here's this thing. Shut up. Here's my phone. Just shut up. And it's and like you could see it. You can see it all the time. You go out, step out in public, you can see it. You can see people doing it.
I mean, we're saying like that's bad and stuff, but I mean, if once I'm a parent, I might do the same thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of like because like I'm dealing that every single day.
I think
when you're busy.
I think
the patience you need for this.
I think what we need to understand here is that for as much good that comes and conveniences that come as a result of the implementation of technology in day-to-day life, similar nuance to the fast food conversation that we had, and the analogy we just brought up again is that like as far as consuming that technology, consuming that social media, those feeds, it's really ultimately, it's really your responsibility as a consumer. But the fact that these companies and these developers make these products in light of the knowledge that, well, people are on their phone all the time. Let's toss in one more thing that they can add to the never-ending string of things that they do on their phone all the time. In which, okay, now you're playing off of the addictive tendencies. Now you're playing off of that, which I know we can get into the fast food thing. It's like, but that's the same point. That's the same point. Why aren't you talking about that with the fast food? That's different. We talked about that, whatever. F it. All right, I mean, that's done. But here, it's just kind of like, these people use their iPhones all the freaking time. How can we make them use it even more and even faster? And shortcuts.
It's like, it's the idea. It's just not even like I don't think they think. It's just they need more money. The people are paid to make it faster.
Innovation and
that's just the way, speed. The natural order of
just more and more and more and more.
Yeah,
but
it's not a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword. It's good and bad.
Okay, so
and I want to look at the positives real quick. Social media, in the right way,
keeps everyone connected.
Like, what was it? Was it Mr. Beast that did like the planet, like
planting the 20 million trees?
Was that what's Instagram or was that YouTube?
That was probably a YouTube both, right? Video, and then it spread basically. Yeah.
And like wouldn't it be possible 20 years ago? That's like the beauty of social media, and I'm very proud of that. I think it's really cool that it's so easy for someone to do that. And I feel like, I don't know if it's a stretch. Anybody could do that if they tried hard enough. Not necessarily to that grand of a scale, but to some degree, get my local community to do something like that if I just make it viral or put it out there. I don't have to post things around my community. I could just plop it up on Instagram.
Yeah,
post it on my local community.
Do a bunch of tags, page, share it with people,
and you're good.
Yeah,
like I think that's great. So there is good to that. But I think the problem, the crux of the issue I have with it is that you lose that basic human connection. Because it's so seamless, but it can't replace, like what I was saying with messaging. I can call, I can message. It's not going to be the same as this.
No.
Us talking face-to-face in person, physical contact.
Yeah, imagine if we did this podcast over, I don't know, phone call or something.
It's not the same. I can't read your reactions. What is it? I think we talked about this before. It's like communication's like 60% body language or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you lose so much of that through phone calls. Now imagine through messages where it's already... that's gone. So it's like the messages can be ambiguous too. It can be
well, I guess you could send,
like LMAO can be rude, or it can be funny, or like I don't
know. I guess you could send like to kind of dip our toes into the other thing, like to tap back to the reactions. You could send like what is it, a GIF, a GIF, however you say it, whatever you decide to say.
And it can be interpreted any way because you're not in person.
Yeah.
So that's just. But I guess it's to remediate that, like you said, putting limits on technology, setting aside time for actual connection, maybe limit your child to like 1 hour of iPad. Come eat dinner with us. Let me play with you outside. Like, let me show you how to play outside. Let's like use our imagination for a little bit. Maybe it's matter of finding the balance, because I think we can live in harmony with technology. It's just a matter of balance, maybe. I think
definitely. And I think needless to say, I agree. I think in most things you can find some sense of like compromise, or that perfect balance of harmony when it comes to usage versus non-use. And I think as far as technology is concerned, just with the advent of the smartwatch, a handful of years ago, and then now moving towards like, trying to, now you have different companies, even like Amazon is like bringing their own version of Google Glass. I don't know if you've seen this, but like you can go on Amazon right now if you haven't seen this, like look up the video, and they have like their own version of Google Glass now, and it's just like, wow, this is pretty, and like you could like do like a pre-order and all this stuff, like it's pretty crazy, but it's just kind of like, where it's headed, where we've been, where we are, and where it's headed. It's just like, it's only going to become more difficult.
But do we really need it to?
Okay.
At first, we're going to say no. But then you can say about anything, though, right?
Yeah.
Do we really need GPS if we can just ask somebody from directions?
Do we really need lights if you could just, burn a candle?
Yeah, do we really need it? And it's like...
Okay, so my answer typically to that is just kind of like, well, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Or just like...
It's like, do we really need a smartwatch?
And then you can start saying all this stuff. It's just like, well, you don't need it.
Yeah.
We don't need a lot of things.
Yeah. Do I need a smartphone?
Like,
I can just call and text and use my computer.
Yeah. Like, we don't need a lot of things. We don't need so many of the things that we have. But technology exists not specifically for the reason that it's a need, but more primarily and directly to the point that it's a convenience.
Exactly.
It streamlines. It quickens. It makes the day-to-day, whether it's work,
practical aims of human life.
Yeah. It makes the day-to-day, whether it's work, play, social, whatever it is, everything in between and everything that outside of that bubble, those bubbles, it makes it all more practical. Now, practical, is it always a good thing? Number one, is it a healthy thing always? Number two, and it's just like, you can bleed off and we can nitpick every single point and sub point with respect to, just those two questions there. Is, as a result of practicality, it okay to sacrifice or get into the temptation of consistent, constant usage where it interrupts and it's a detriment, or blah, 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 A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. We can sit here all day and we can argue about that.
But I think even to answer that, you have to look at why are we using it.
But
if it's for entertainment, sure. But if it's to feel a sense of self, like
self-worth,
or like trying to connect with someone, you're looking in the wrong spot. And it's not practical.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't specifically know. I don't know. I don't think I have the best answer for that, because I don't know. I don't know if you listeners by now can tell, but when it comes to certain things, I'm more cutthroat when it comes to making a decision. But this is one of those things where I'm not really, because I can. It's really hard 50-50 here split, because it's just kind of like, I don't know what the right answer is. Like, the right answer is yes, both. But
so you'd be okay with your kid having like an iPad?
I would be okay with my child having, a tablet at a certain age, using it for a certain amount of time of the day. That's what I would be okay with. I don't know. I couldn't gauge that. I can't gauge that right. I wouldn't say 8 hours a day. I'm not going to say that. But then it's just
I'm like the same kid who's played like video games for like
12 hours, straight. Like, I wouldn't go to bed. I'd pull all-nighters because I was playing, whatever game.
So it's like,
it's just kind of like, oh, well, isn't that hypocritical? Like I said, we can go in circles and circles and talk about like, oh, but this and that and those exceptions. I think ultimately what we're trying to say in this rambling of technology that we're doing today is that, number one, like the points we mentioned before about it's, the responsibility and being responsible for yourself or for the people you are responsible for, and limiting, how much technology you're using, how it's a consumer choice, but also, the implications of those developers and companies actually providing, help or assistance in being able to better manage that, so that's so
it should be their responsibility.
I don't want to say that, but I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for, at least specifically to technology. It's a good thing for these companies to provide means of like, I want to see how, I think it's a really good idea of like, Apple like providing its users, use time Like, how much time are you spending on Instagram, on these apps, and like, you know, stuff like that. And it's just kind of, I think it's pretty cool. It's just kind of like similar to like their battery life. It's just like, oh, you know, Safari takes up 50% of your battery every day. Like, if I want to see stuff about like where's my battery life going? Where's my real life going?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like that. It's just like, if I care so much about my battery in my phone, I should care so much more, exponentially more, about like where my real life time is going as an investment of me using my phone or my devices.
I'm pretty sure I clock in at like 7-8 hours a day.
It's pretty nuts.
Terrible.
It's pretty nuts, man.
It's nuts, man.
I don't know. So that being said, but you know, out of the myriad of things of detriment, of how it's a detriment and how it's convenient, I think ultimately what we're trying to say is that like, in you know, in a world where we're just consistently improving upon the technology of not even literally yesterday, to some extent, it's just kind of like it's not so much like you gotta just deal with it. It's more of a like, you really got to start building these habits as soon as possible, because it's
finding a balance too.
Yeah, it's like finding that balance, figuring out how to best, I guess, just live and be compatible with this ever-growing trend and ever-growing just massiveness of technology, because it's not going to get easier. It's only the beginning. It's only going to get more and more difficult. It has gotten more difficult, and it's going to continue getting there. Yeah. It's gotten so difficult to the point that, guess what Apple did? They show you how much you use your apps now. like you can go into certain apps and they'll show you the stats of like how many hours and what did you look at and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how difficult it's gotten, that these companies themselves are putting this stuff out there. So it's just kind of like, you really got to take those steps back and just kind of reel in like, whoa, okay, it's only going to get harder, man. Like, you got to do something.
That's
you
true.
Yourself have to make the conscious decision of like, I got to do something about this, because
or just drop off and just everybody get a Nokia phone. Just like,
it's a new trend. I mean, the Kodak disposable cameras are coming back. Those are a thing now. Go to Urban Outfitters. Go
back to 2000 and we just, you know,
go to Urban Outfitters, man. It's $15.
$15. We get Nokia phones
for
Kodak
disposable
cameras. We're gonna get what do you call it? Those baggy pants back? Those cargo pants. Yeah, we're gonna wear those sweatpants that you told me
really
about.
Really baggy cargo sweats. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like Lil Nas X is like rocking that fashion style. It's pretty interesting.
It's just like this go back to the late 90s, early 2000s. Go back to those times.
I can't even believe like 90s was 30 years ago. I'm still thinking like 70s was 30
and
years
ago. And it's funny because 90s or I don't know exactly when, but like 90s we had Nintendo 64, and now look what we have. 2000. Wait, this is what I'm saying. Oh. You see, look.
Wait, that was like
just
10
messed
years
you up,
ago.
Man. Look,
that was like 10 years ago. No,
90s wasn't 10 years ago. It was like 20 plus years ago.
Oh,
like
so bad.
When we were babies.
Wait, we're gonna be 30 soon.
I'm guessing that's like 6-7 years away.
But still,
it's pretty crazy. I guess in the grand scheme of our lives at this point, and we're fangirling or.
I'm having a crisis right now. I can't. But but that's yes. That's
I don't know, but it's like, I mean, think about it like that. If there's anything I can leave our listeners and maybe like you, I guess right now, it's just kind of like, it's just like, think about that in your head. Just right now, we have the PlayStation 4 Pros, the Xbox like One S or whatever is out. I don't really know much. But like, soon, right? But now you have the new Xbox, the 5th gens of these guys, 6th gens, whatever, and 23 years ago, our age, you know, back 1990s, late 1990s, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 was the
Yeah.
All right. That's what you need. Like, that's how far we've come in our lifetime, 23 years.
I feel
that's
like
how far things have come.
Than we did, man.
I don't know.
They went
man.
out and they had video games. Like, what do we have now? I feel like I'm in my room. Like, I don't hang out with you.
I mean, that's you.
That's on me.
That's on you.
That's on me.
I can't say. I'm not gonna make a comment.
Hanging out, like I'm like most of the time, like half the time we're on our phones, or maybe it's just me.
I don't
know, man.
You're a bad guy to hang out with.
No, but like I noticed even like I don't know, they're just on their phones and like they be hanging out, but then they're on their phones. I don't know.
Oh man,
I'm just being nitpicky, maybe.
You're hanging out with the wrong people, man. If they're out on their phone half the time, maybe you're just a boring guy.
Maybe. Viewers, let me know. Let's make a poll right now. YDB interactivity.
Is he a boring guy? Is he
Am I a boring?
I don't know.
But yeah. Well, yeah. So just finding the middle ground.
Just finding the middle ground. I know that's pretty cliche here, but like I mean, with most things, it's about finding the middle ground and compromising.
Be conscious of the fact. Conscious of the fact that it is addictive.
Yeah.
Be conscious of how much you use it. And don't let your life go away. And that's another thing. Like I feel like once I got my iPad, I feel like it just flew by. Like I was like, I don't remember the rest. Like I feel like I was on my iPad for most of the rest of my teenage years. So
I think
don't let it slip by.
And like I mentioned earlier, it's just like
8 hours in a day, man. I'm on screen time. That's like all right, and I sleep like 8 hours, right? 16 hours. Then what is it now? 24, 16. Another 8 hours.
That means you have 8 hours. So you sleep for 8 hours. You're on your screen 8 hours, and the other 8 hours you live. Life. That's a third of your life is what you live.
Yeah, a third of my life is gone on my phone, and that's why it's slipping away so fast. Just be conscious of that. Find a middle ground.
And just keep in the back of your head, it's only gonna get more difficult, and it's not to be pessimistic. It's just to be aware of the fact that this is only gonna get harder to do
and better. I mean,
it's gonna get obviously there's so many more benefits. Things like we can go on and on about the benefits.
Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, I guess.
Exactly. Too much of a good thing is that it's too much of a good thing.
Too much sugar, man.
Too much of anything is never. It never turns out for the best. That's just blanket. But yeah, no. It's just really important. Just like you said, be conscious of the decisions that you're making. The decisions that if you're making them for others, the ones that you make for others. But do your best, stay happy, stay healthy, and just monitor that usage. Pull out that screen time, and
we'll make an exception when you're watching ydb.pod. We can just add extra 2 hours, and then that's okay.
That's fine. You can binge our videos all the time. Screw everything we just said, because we're the most
YDB.
Yeah, we're all those other pros out there who forget them. Throw it all out the screen time 8 hours on us. That's
Binge the first season.
Just go back and keep re-listening. There's no other
outtakes too.
There's no other podcast. It's just us. Anyways, good stuff.
Good stuff, man.
Man.
All right, peace.